What's going on, everyone? So yesterday, the Los Angeles Lakers officially signed their free agents and their number 2 or second round draft pick. So they signed Deandre Ayton, Jake Laravia, Jaxson Hayes, and Adou Thiero. So got those new acquisitions coming in. Job's not finished. Lakers are still in trade talks, and there's still several free agents that are linked to the Lakers, and they have a full 15 roster spots. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. Now, they do have Shake Milton that they have until July 20th to figure out on. Jordan Goodwin is another guy that's a non-guaranteed. They have until January to fully guarantee his contract. I imagine that they'd want to keep Jordan Goodwin, but if that right guy comes along, maybe the Lakers end up swapping him out. So we'll see. Right, see what the Lakers do. Lakers might be getting to a point where they may need to kind of shed some salary. I mean, they're like right at that apron. Because remember, they are hard kept at the first apron because they sent money out. Originally. Now they've used their exceptions and stuff, so that's why. But originally it was because they sent money out in the Adou Thiero trade. But I really like the acquisitions. Right, I want to start with Jaxson Hayes because he was the guy that was here, and I think he's the easiest. I still look at him as a third big. But I think he takes pressure off of the urgency to go get a backup. I hope that the Lakers don't look to go like, okay, we're good, we don't need a backup. I hope that they're still active in trying to get a backup. A couple guys that could potentially be free agents. Still a couple guys out there like an Al Horford. We'll see. Time will tell. But Jaxson Hayes is a guy that is still young, still growing, developing, right? Looked really good in spots with Luka Doncic. Allow them to kind of continue to grow and develop that relationship. And I do think that he's a guy that can continue to grow, develop, and have that increase in his game. I think, at Jaxson Hayes, I'm fine with him. I've always been fine with him, right? Like, I got a lot of slack when Jaxson Hayes was doing great, where I was talking and I was like, hey, I love what he's doing. It looks great. Credit him without a doubt. Given the circumstances, he's had to step up. He's kind of been thrust in this role, so I don't want to take away from that. But he's not a starting center. And a lot of people gave me pushback. A lot of people, but as the season kind of progressed, more and more people kind of came around. Were like, you know what, Tyler, you might have been right. And then by the end of the playoffs, everyone was like, you were right, Tyler. Get this guy off of our team. And I was like, I told you. He's good. I like him. He's a solid player, right? I like him as a development big. I'm fine with keeping him around. He's a guy that if he's playing 10 to 15 minutes off the bench, you're probably in good shape, right? Think of like Taurean Prince for the Lakers, right? In like 15 minutes of action, Taurean Prince was like the best player by like every metric on the Lakers. It's a little exaggeration, but you get the point. Like he was fantastic for the Lakers. As soon as he played that 16th minute, he was the worst player on the Lakers. Right? It was night and day. Jaxson Hayes, he's one of those guys. The longer he's on the court, the more he gets exploited, the more his flaws and weaknesses really start to rear their ugly head, and the more that he kind of becomes this liability. Right? So I want to see Jaxson Hayes kind of continue to grow, mature, be a real piece. Deandre Ayton, right? He's the big acquisition. One, you solved your starting center position. You may have solved your starting center position for the next, 6 to 8 years alongside Luka Doncic. Both Luka as well as Deandre Ayton are excited to team up together. Remember, number 1 pick and number 3 pick in the draft. So these are guys that have a relationship, that they now are the ideal pairing, right? I mean, on paper, it would be hard. You'd be hard pressed to find a better complementary player alongside Luka Doncic than Deandre Ayton. Again, on paper is the key. Deandre Ayton, can he buy in? Right? Does he let the Vegas tension and stuff like that start to get to him? Or does he come in, buy in, focus, and understand like, hey, this might be your only chance. Now, Lakers fully believe that they can kind of get him corralled, get him right, get him focused. The coach staff with J.J. Redick, Scott Brooks, he vouched for Deandre Ayton and really pushed for the Lakers to go and bring him on. They have a relationship from when Scott Brooks was on Portland, right? And then Nate McMillan is just, again, that hard-nosed, respected veteran, player coach over the years. So, again, if Deandre Ayton, look, this might be the best situation that could ever have happened to Deandre Ayton. If he buys in, he focuses, he locks in, and he understands what he is here to do, and he understands that I have a guy that is going to make me look like a superstar. My best years were with Chris Paul, and I just got somebody light years better. I love Chris Paul. He was never Luka Doncic, right? Luka Doncic is ridiculous. I mean, you're talking all-time great type of ridiculous, right? So And he's always going to be looking for Deandre Ayton because that's his favorite type of outlet. And Deandre Ayton is just much more versatile and balanced than a Jaxson Hayes, right? Jaxson Hayes, if he gets the ball and that lob isn't there, kind of doesn't really have any options, right? He's trying to kick it back out. Where Ayton, he can stop, shoot on a dime, shoot over the top, knock down that elbow. He's in great shape. Deandre Ayton, this could be a savior for him, to be a savior for the Lakers, right? And could be a long-term answer for Luka as far as like one of his, co-runners. I don't want to say co-star yet because I want to see how it looks, but one of the co-runners for the foreseeable future. Again, it wasn't that long ago that Deandre Ayton was an 18-11 guy and looking like he had the potential to be a top 3 center in the league in a couple years. Right? He just kind of was one of those guys that couldn't get out of his own way. All right, so we'll see if he can get back to that. Right? I think that there's some insane opportunity there for a team like the Lakers. But Jake Laravia, I really like Jake Laravia as well. 23 years old, versatile, kind of two-way wing. I look at him kind of as a Rui replacement. Right? I really do think if the Lakers are going to pull off any significant trades at any point, they're going to end up trading Rui Hachimura. And Jake Laravia, I think, is a more polished Rui Hachimura at the time we got Rui. Right? Not right now. I think Rui, I like Rui. I think Jake Laravia does a couple things better than Rui Hachimura, but I also think Rui Hachimura does things better. I would trust Rui more than Jake Laravia right now. However, when we got Rui Hachimura 3 years ago, right, he was Jake Laravia at the time, where he was like this young guy coming in that has a ton of promise, right, shows himself. I think Jake Laravia right now at 23 years old is better than when we acquired Rui Hachimura. Right? Not the Rui Hachimura today. Hope that clarifies, because I know somebody's going to be like, there's no way he's better than Rui. Not what I'm saying. I'm talking about like when we got Rui compared to now when we got Jake Laravia, right? But again, good, sizable, can play either forward spot. He is going to be better defensively, or should be better defensively than a Rui Hachimura. I just think he's better suited to play the 3 than the Rui Hachimura. Guy that really started to come into his own with Sacramento. Right? Like he's a guy that really, he was averaging 18 points a game until he fractured his finger, and then that kind of set him back. But you started to see the promise. You started to see what could potentially be with a guy like Jake Laravia. I think he's a guy that, he could solve a lot of our bench issues. Right? Maybe even eventually be that kind of starter for us in a year or so. I think that the sky's the limit for the kid. He's 23. He's young enough for us to have been drafting him in this season, especially the way that the Lakers like to draft those kind of 20-year-olds, like mid-20-year-old type guys. But he's a guy that has had multiple years of NBA experience and has shown the promise and whatnot. There's a couple questions about the defense, a couple questions about the athleticism, but he's good at both. He's just not great or elite, but 23. I trust him to kind of figure some stuff out. He's a guy that can be a real kind of, he could be, I wouldn't be shocked if Jake Laravia ends up becoming Lakers Nation's new favorite player, right? I'm talking about, not the channel, I'm talking about us, right? Like the fans, right? I wouldn't be shocked if people are like, man, Jake Laravia turned out to be a great acquisition, right? So something to keep in mind. And then lastly, I want to talk about Adou Thiero. Traded up for him, 36 pick. Now, this is a guy that was supposed to be a first-round pick. He was as high as like 15 on many draft boards. He's projected to go in that like 15 to 20 range. Well, Tyler, then why did he fall? Because he suffered an injury and he's 21 years old, right? Teams like those 18, 19-year-olds. And then on top of that, it's like you're a year or two older than what we want you to be, and you're coming off of an injury, right? So, it's why he's not playing in the summer league thus far, but he is expected to be ready for training camp also, so we should be able to see him hopefully then. But he's a guy that has all the tools. He is a bigger, more athletic Jared Vanderbilt, essentially. Better offensively overall. Shooting wise, they're probably pretty equal right now, right? Like Thiero is not great shooting the 3 ball, but he's young enough to where he can get there. He doesn't have a bad shot, just kind of needs a little tweaking, little kind of upgrades here and there. But he is a hyper athlete, like jump out of the gym. On top of that, he's long, lengthy, versatile, can defend really 1 through 5 because of his size, his length, and athleticism. Big, physical, versatile defender that can also create for himself and create a little bit for others. He's a guy that I really do think, and he's looked at as NBA ready. and has NBA-ready defense, which the Lakers really need, right? So he's a guy that I wouldn't be shocked if has some like real rotation minutes. Also could be a lob threat for Luka Doncic. Could be a match made in heaven. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Else for not, if you enjoy these types of videos, truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.